Coming up tonight on KTVH News at 5, we'll have the latest from Washington, D.C. as Democrats in the House move forward with a second impeachment of President Trump. What Montana's lone representative has to say. Plus, lawmakers advance a bill that would expand where concealed weapons could be carried. But there are changes. We'll have the details.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 5.
Good afternoon and welcome to the News at 5. I'm Andy Curtis and thank you for joining us. Well, today the U.S. House launched a two-pronged effort to remove President Donald Trump from office before January 20th, while giving Vice President Pence a long-shot ultimatum to invoke the 25th Amendment by tomorrow. Democrats are also fast-tracking the impeachment process. Now, we do need to warn you that this report does contain some images of violence that some of you might find disturbing. Alice Barr is in Washington with the latest.
As more shocking images and accounts emerge from last week's siege on the Capitol, pressure is mounting to hold President Trump accountable for his role in inciting the deadly violence. Today, back in the building where they were attacked by a pro-Trump mob, House Democrats formally introduced one article of impeachment, incitement of insurrection.
We cannot simply let this go because we can never heal as a nation if we don't have justice first.
It comes after Republicans sidelined a resolution calling on Vice President Mike Pence to replace the president under the 25th Amendment.
I object.
Objection is heard.
Sources familiar tell NBC News the vice president is unlikely to act, increasing the emphasis on impeachment with a vote as early as Wednesday. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she has the votes to impeach, writing, quote, "The president's threat to America is urgent, and so too will be our action," and telling CBS's 60 Minutes.
He has done something so serious that there should be prosecution against him.
Beyond impeachment, Democrats hope to block President Trump from ever holding public office again. But they're hoping for bipartisan support, with only a few Republican backers so far.
I actually do believe that the president has disqualified himself.
The Republican-controlled Senate is in recess until January 19th, the day before President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And Montana's only representative in the House strongly denounced the effort by Democrats in the House to remove the president. Republican Matt Rosendale, sworn into office 8 days ago, said Democrats in Congress are making, quote, false claims of national crisis that requires Trump's removal from the presidency. Rosendale called the actions, quote, disgraceful political theater and urged Democrats, as he put it, quote, not to do any additional damage to the political fabric of our republic. Rosendale is one of about 140 Republican House members who voted last week to challenge presidential election results in Arizona and Pennsylvania. Republican U.S. Senator Steve Daines also issued a statement rejecting calls for impeachment. Daines said pursuing articles of impeachment days before inauguration will only further divide the country. And now with a look at our weather out there as we start our work week, Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz.
Well, good Monday afternoon, Andy. Good Monday afternoon to you all here. Wow, look at this. Rarely is almost the entire state under a watch, warning, or advisory here, and you can see that virtually all of Montana, I think the entire state should be, but virtually all of the state is under a high wind watch for some really nasty winds. Think back to last weekend when we had those brutal winds come through on Saturday and then on Sunday. But let's take a look at the wind. Not so bad out there right now, but the wind will be ramping up heading through Tuesday. But the real windy day is Wednesday, where you see those shades of purples. And there's more and more of them as we get into Wednesday, talking wind speeds upwards 50, 60, 70, maybe even 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. There we go into Wednesday afternoon. Maybe not a lot of rain and snow, but a heck of a lot of wind. We do have an atmospheric river out in the Pacific headed toward the Pacific Northwest. That wind is going to huff and puff and try to blow your house down. And winter is on the way. More on the full forecast coming up.
Another Montana state legislator has tested positive for COVID-19, the second one during the current legislative session. Republican legislative leaders announced that late Monday State Representative Fiona Nave of Columbus received her positive test results that same day. Senator Jason Ellsworth, who chairs the Legislative Leadership COVID-19 Response Panel, said Nave has not attended the session in person at all and has been working remotely. Last week, State Representative David Beatty of Hamilton was the first lawmaker to reveal that he'd tested positive for the virus. Both Beatty and Nave are Republicans. The COVID-19 Response Panel is planning to meet Tuesday for the second time. Ellsworth says it will continue implementing plans and precautions for the session. Minority Democrats on the panel say Republicans don't have an adequate plan for preventing and reacting to outbreaks of the virus this session. And last week, Montana lawmakers decided not to approve a state agency's request for more than $1 million to help prepare for recreational marijuana sales. But MTN's Jonathan Ambarian reports this is likely only a first step as the legislature deals with the broader issues around legalization.
The Montana House has approved a bill to authorize supplemental funding for state agencies this fiscal year. But the bill passed without a section the State Department of Revenue had requested, providing just over $1 million to help the agencies start getting ready for legalized marijuana sales. Last Wednesday, the House Appropriations Committee voted to remove that funding from House Bill 3. Representative Bill Mercer, a Republican from Billings, made the request.
One of my concerns was that this was, in my view at least, unexpected, and it was a big number, and we wanted to get some justification in terms of why this much.
Revenue said the money would have been used to hire about 20 new employees to work on recreational marijuana, and for other expenses, including setting up a cash drop room, as marijuana businesses are largely cash-based. Montana voters approved Initiative 190 last year. It calls on Revenue to create rules and start taking applications for recreational marijuana sellers by October 1st. Mercer said he appreciated why Revenue made the request, but felt there were still too many unknowns about what lawmakers will do with recreational marijuana laws.
I think we thought we need more time to really sort through what's needed, on what timetable, and do we stick with the timetable in the initiative, or do we say, well, if this is going to be too much too fast, do we try to extend the time period that was set forth in the initiative?
In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Governor Greg Gianforte has said his administration plans to redirect the tax revenue from recreational marijuana sales to addiction recovery and economic development. And a Montana Legislative Committee has advanced a bill that would expand where and how people can carry firearms. The House Judiciary Committee approved House Bill 102 by a 12-7 party line vote today. The bill is sponsored by Republican Representative Seth Burgley of Joliet. It would allow people to carry concealed firearms in more places and limit the Montana University system's ability to regulate guns on college campuses. During the meeting, the committee added additional exceptions to the requirement requiring people carrying guns on campus to receive safety training, but they voted down a Democratic proposal to remove the provisions about colleges entirely. The bill will now go to the full House for consideration. Lewis and Clark County is expected to begin Phase 1B COVID vaccinations next week and have shared some of the details on how it will operate. Public Health is currently looking into ways for people to pre-register for the vaccination clinic and will have more information available in the coming days. Individuals that qualify for Phase 1B include people over the age of 70 and those 16 to 69 with specific health conditions that put them the most at risk for getting the disease. The idea is that people will sign up and will then present certification for their date at the vaccination clinic. The county is limited by the number of doses available and don't want the situation where thousands show up when only 400 doses are available that day.
They are the ones most vulnerable to the disease, and there is a large segment of them that absolutely want to get this vaccine as soon as possible. And our goal is to do that, but as I said, we have to do it in an orderly way.
Lewis and Clark County say that the plan is fluid right now and will continue to be a living document that they'll change and adjust if issues arise. The fairgrounds will continue to be used as a site, and they hope to expand to other sites as more doses become available. And Montana's COVID-19 case numbers continue to hold steady. 630 more cases were reported since last night, bringing the number of active cases to just under 5,000. Now, the statewide death total is now 1,058, after 4 more deaths were reported since last night. Active hospitalizations have also held steady since yesterday, and there are just over 200. MTN uses a combination of state and local data to provide you with the most up-to-date numbers regarding COVID-19 in our state. Now, because of that, our numbers may differ from the states. And when we come back, Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz will have a complete check of your forecast, and later, how working at home could have some long-lasting health impacts.
Starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Mentioned an atmospheric river of moisture, and it's out in the Pacific here. When you see a big plume of clouds like this that extend all the way out beyond Hawaii, out there into the central, even almost the western Pacific. Basically, this originates closer to Asia. That is just a tremendous amount of moisture. However, not going to see a tremendous amount of moisture east of the Continental Divide. This will really hit places west of the divide very hard, but some pretty good wind already in Great Falls. It was nice to have calm conditions over the weekend. Some gusts up to 40 miles per hour and sunset alert. It's a beautiful color out there. 26 degrees. We are inverted in the Helena Valley here. Cold air, and we've got some moisture. Air quality is also right around moderate levels right now, but there you can see some of the warmer conditions out across the prairies, the plains, and some of the cooler conditions in the valleys. Look at Bozeman at 20 degrees. Calm in Missoula, fairly calm in Butte and Helena and Bozeman as well, but there's that wind that's pretty strong out across north central Montana already. A little rain, a little snow moving into northwestern Montana, but boy, 5, 6, maybe 7 inches of rain along coastal portions of Washington and Oregon. Flooding, maybe even landslides possible over in that part of the country. And speaking of other parts of the country, some snow once again pretty far south. Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas. Some parts of Texas had about 6 to 9 inches of snow. So here's what will happen. Mostly cloudy day today. We'll have the clouds continuing to work overhead tonight and heading into Tuesday. Strong winds across the plains. There will be some snow over the mountain passes such as Marias Pass up in the northwest part of the state. Look out, low passes, seeing some snow initially, but snow levels going up as warmer air comes in. Hardly any precipitation east of the divide here on Tuesday. That will change on Wednesday with the cold front going through here. Look at all of that rain into northern parts of Idaho and western Montana, eastern Washington. Very difficult travel. Interstate 90 west of Missoula because of rain that will go up to the Lookout Pass level here. But watch as we go into Wednesday. There comes the cold front with the back edge of the precipitation there. Some rain showers possible in Great Falls and Helena early on. And then behind the front, temperatures will drop. Snow showers will begin to fly here throughout parts of the state. Not a lot of accumulation, but a lot of wind on Wednesday. I can't emphasize that enough, how windy it will be. Now, snow in the mountains, and again, some snow will fall, the snow levels will come up, and then the snow levels will go down. Not much, if any, accumulation here east of the Continental Divide. Tonight, a mild and windy night across most of north central Montana. Not as much wind in northeastern Montana here. Around Lewistown, the wind beginning to pick up, especially near Judith Gap. And look at the temperatures near Helena, a little cooler because of the inversions. Here's the forecast for tomorrow. An extremely windy day. Wednesday will be worse. And look at this warmth. Once again, parts of the High Line up into the 50s, 40s and 50s. Lewistown right near 50 degrees. And Helena late will likely break out of the inversion, get up into the 40s. By late, I mean 11 o'clock at night. There's the 7-day forecast. Wednesday, extremely windy. Some gusts maybe higher than 50 miles per hour. A little snow likely on Sunday, coming up tonight at 6 o'clock and 10. I'll talk more about winter on its way. And for Great Falls, just a wicked wind over the next couple of days.
Well, when we started the whole work from home shift, many of us set up desks at the kitchen table or in the spare bedroom, thinking it would only be temporary. But for many, nearly 10 months later, hard chairs and makeshift work desks are now taking their toll.
For Zach Stack, working out of his home means extended periods of time at his bedroom computer.
Initially, it was just kind of like move the desk from the other room into my room, just kind of find a chair around the house.
But months in, and all that time in a makeshift home office has become a pain in the neck, literally.
What does your body feel like?
Like hurts, like my back, sometimes my legs, sometimes even my wrists from like typing or like moving my mouse.
Without trips to the water cooler or a walk down the hall to a colleague, Americans are sitting at home hunched over laptops for extended periods of time. And that, say experts, can be dangerous to your health.
I'm sitting cross-legged on my couch, or I'm working at the island in my kitchen, or, I'm propped up in some pillows in my bed. These kind of things are not ergonomic at all and are not conducive to good posture. So
Dr. Grant Garrigus is an orthopedic surgeon and team physician for the Chicago White Sox and Bulls. He says he's seeing an increase in work-from-home patients dealing with shoulder pain. In addition to stiff neck and shoulders, experts warn that too much sitting can also lead to weakening of leg muscles. Hip joint issues and poor posture can cause compression in the discs in your spine. All that might subside when you're done, but eventually can become long-term problems.
My shoulder started hurting. So it was like everything was hurting from my top of my shoulders all the way down to my back.
It became a serious issue for Veronica Muncy.
It's a small workspace.
A mother of 3 who changed her workstation, did physical therapy, cortisone shots, and now needs shoulder surgery.
The effects from it look like something that would have been coming from a trauma or a fall or anything like that. And it completely from just being at my desk working.
Dr. Garrigus recommends taking a break from sitting every 30 minutes. If you work at a desk, try a standing desk or improvise with a high table or counter.
You're on your smartphone, you're driving, you're on your laptop. Open things up, right? Get those shoulder blades back and down. Stretch out the muscles in the front.
Most importantly, if you're experiencing any pain, it's best to seek medical attention before it aggravates enough to require surgery.
I should have listened to my body way sooner than I did.
In Chicago, I'm Usher Qureshi.
Well, coming up next on the news at 5, a fire station in Great Falls is now set up to help pets after they've been involved in a fire.
News leader. You're watching MTN News at 5.
Welcome back, everyone. A fire station in Great Falls is helping pets breathe easier after they've been involved in a fire. MTN's Shannon Newth explains.
You ready?
Mosey is getting some extra oxygen in a mask specifically designed to fit his snout. It's thanks to a tool Great Falls firefighters use to help pets recover from a fire.
So when our people respond to structure fires or other instances where pets are in jeopardy, especially with respiratory issues, they're able to use these purpose-built masks to help try to save people's pets.
There's 3 different sizes.
They're made differently than the ones used on people.
With a person, we can tell them breathe deep or do whatever. We can give them some instructions. And most of the time, the pets are either unresponsive or they're scared. So something like this that fits all the way around and just has a free flow of the oxygen is great for pets.
They've come in handy recently. Firefighters rescued 5 cats from a structure fire. 2 of them were in bad shape.
It was interesting to see how quickly they perked up from being lethargic and floppy to one of them was a lover and one of them wanted to use us as a scratching post. So, but we were able to return them both to their owner, who was extremely happy.
Firefighters have these specifically designed masks for our best friends thanks to the generosity of the community. A while back, a citizen saw a firefighter using a human oxygen mask on a cat. They decided to step up and raise the money needed to get Great Falls Fire Rescue pet oxygen masks.
It's neat to see when people within our community see a need, and especially if it's something that they're passionate about themselves, and they can see the need, know that it's probably not budgeted for, and then just provide it.
Fire Station 1 has pet oxygen masks for all 4 fire engines, as well as their ambulance and command vehicle. In Great Falls, Shannon Newth, MTN News.
Up next, we'll wrap things up here, but first, here's a look at what's coming up next on the Nightly News.
When we welcome our West Coast stations, the ultimatum as support grows for removing the president, but how much bipartisan support is there? We'll have the latest, plus details on the eye-opening number of kids infected with COVID when we see you back here tonight.
News Leader. You're watching MTN News at 5.
Well, thank you for making us a part of your evening. NBC Nightly News is next. Have a great night.